It's been 10 years since Adenike Oyetunde was diagnosed with osteogenic sarcoma, which eventually led to her leg being amputated. But despite this, she's doing phenomenal things, encouraging and inspiring other women. My name is Umilola Oshikoya. Welcome to the heart of the matter.
These things sometimes are psychological.
I said it before, financial cost as one of the many issues.
It was a God experience. I just wanted to find God.
Simply feeling like you're inspired isn't always so.
Tell us about the solution.
As one
People
of
with
many
18 to 35 years of age start out at work.
Hey, I don't have the skill for this particular problem to solve this particular problem.
None of us talked about the bread seller.
Welcome to the heart of the matter. Adenike, thank you for coming to the heart of the matter.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Okay, so can you tell us about when you discovered that you had cancer?
Okay.
And what happened after?
So I was in my second year in the university and I went home for the weekend. So I was about leaving home and my parents stay alone because I'm an only child. And we had run out of water. There had been water scarcity for a bit, and I was just about leaving, and then the PHCN, well, they were in NEPA back then, restored power, and I knew I had to help them fill up all the barrels that they had used. So I was almost done, and the very last bucket, I remember so vividly, I slipped, and I fell. So it was a very, very painful fall. My father was in the living room with a guest, and they both heard me, of course, and rushed to me, helped me up, gave me just helped me, and I went to school. It was a Sunday afternoon.
So you hurt your knee?
Yes.
Okay.
I hurt my knee and I went to school. This was on a Sunday, so I went to school. Everything was good. Monday went to school. Tuesday went for my classes. Wednesday went, and there was no problem. Or I honestly can't remember anything that happened between Sunday and Thursday. By Thursday morning, I had the class for 11, and I'm a very time-conscious person, so I woke up and I just realized I couldn't get out of bed. So I told my roommates.
How old were you?
I was 20.
20. Okay.
So I told my roommates and they thought I was joking, as they always do. And then I kept saying, this was like 8 o'clock. So they figured that by 10, give or take, I will be out of the bed. But by 9:30-ish, my roommates noticed that I wasn't getting out of bed and they knew it was not a joke. So I couldn't stand up. I just couldn't stand up. I don't know, I can't remember if it was both my legs, but I just knew I couldn't stand up and I couldn't get out of bed. So my friend came to carry me and brought me to Lagos and took me home. Now, in that space, I had called my parents, of course, and I had told my dad that I didn't understand what was happening, but I just couldn't stand up from the bed. And they, okay, come home and blah, blah. So I got to Lagos and then we went to the hospital. Now, they had asked that I did tests, a series of tests, x-rays and all of that, and then I found out that it was a blood clot that owing to the fall, that it had caused a trauma and blood vessel was blocked, had jammed from the fall, so to speak, and that they needed to drain it. And that's fine. So we drained the blood and I went back to school hoping that everything would be fine. 2 weeks down the line, it started to deteriorate again. So this time my father came to pick me and took me straight to the hospital. And then again, the doctors confirmed that unfortunately the first drainage was not successful and that we had to do another one, but this time a bigger one. So we did it, and all through weeks had gone by, but thankfully enough, I went to a state-run and owned university. Okay. So I think we had just finished with our exams, so there was time. I had time to stay away from school. So got to Lagos and then I did it again. So I had stayed in Lagos for a bit so I could get better. I had started to lose a lot of weight, a whole lot of weight, so suddenly in the space. And a few months down the line, we found out that I wasn't getting any better. But I had gone back to school and I was trying to manage it, but it was getting worse. So my father then decided that the best thing to do was to just have me back in Lagos and, have the doctors just exactly squarely. And after a few months, the doctor who was introduced to us by a family friend referred us to the National Orthopedic Hospital at Igbobi.
Okay. I'm sure at this point you were wondering, I
I wasn't even wondering anything, funny enough. I just knew that, oh yes, doctors, they probably didn't know what it was, and that sometimes very soon a doctor who understood what was going on in my body would come around and tell us what exactly was going on. So I had hoped that it would not get to the extent of having to go to the National Orthopedic Hospital, because back then what was a narrative on the street was the moment they didn't know what it was, the only available option was to say an amputation. So the day the doctors even came in and told me that I had cancer and I had to amputate my limb, I obviously just called it bluff, and I didn't believe he was saying, he knew what it was saying. And there I was with my father, and you know, I was just turned to look to my hero, and boom, he was crying. I'm like, oh, something must be absolutely wrong here. So my dad, that I thought was going to say, oh, he doesn't know what he's saying. My father was crying on and on and on. And I think the attitude with which the doctor had told us that it was cancer also sealed it for me, because I just figured you absolutely would not tell a 20-year-old that she had cancer, and you were booking her for a surgery on a Saturday for something you were just telling her on a Wednesday. And many things were going through my mind. Why did it have to be me? Of all the friends that I knew in the world, I have friends that come from, you know, families that have a lot of kids. Why did they have to be only? So of course the doctors did not know what it was they were saying. But from the moment it told me the first time that it was cancer up until the point where I had to willingly accept to undergo the amputation, it was the worst time of my life. We had tried all the all the options that possibly could have gotten. They tried medical, we name it. We did the weirdest of things that you never would have thought you would ever have subjected yourself to. Why? Because everybody thought they had a solution just to get us back. Oh, she's an only child. Of course, she had to be back on her feet, you know. And I used to be everybody's delight, literally. I would go to your house and turn the whole place off. So everybody missed me, even in school. So my phone was, it got to a point where the doctors had to advise my parents to take my phones away from me, because it was always a call from the lecturers to the students, for people I never spoke with. Everybody noticed I was away from school. So too many hospitals eventually found myself at the University College Hospital in Ibadan, UCH. And the very first time,
they were going to amputate.
Yes, the very first time my doctor then and now the CMD saw me, the first thing he said was, oh, young lady, this is an orthopedic emergency and that we're going to have to amputate your limb. At this time, my limb had started to grow. It started from my knee, but it had started to extend. And it was really big. At the end of the day before the amputation, the 4th of February, my leg was as big as a basketball, because I had taken blood transfusion. My PCV was so low, the anesthesiologist was not sure I was going to wake up if they had put me to sleep and all of that. So they said they needed to increase my blood and all of these things. So the next morning I wake up and boom, there was my leg. At that point I just knew that without a doubt that I needed to. I had already accepted in my head that amputation was the only option, because I just wanted my life back. I wasn't bothered about 2 years from then or 5 years from then. I just wanted to be fine.
Be alive.
I just wanted to be fine. I just wanted to be me, the me that I knew. At this point, I had everything. I had lost everything, literally, because I was not myself. I didn't look myself. I had lost everything. But somewhere, honestly speaking, I don't know where the strength, I was very positive. And I think that one of the reasons why I remained very positive was because I knew for a certainty that both my parents were getting their energy from me. And the moment I was down, I used to cry by myself when there was no one there. But the moment my parents were there, I was always excited. I was strong. But there were times where we took it in turns. You know, we took turns to cry. I would cry, my mom would cry, my father would cry, and then it would come back to me. Because we had done everything we had done everything. We had tried the Christian way, we had done Islam, we had done the tradition. We did the weirdest of things. And I knew that there was...
At this time, were you Christian?
I was born into a Muslim home, and I'd always been a Christian all my life, my life.
So you were born into a Muslim home?
Yes.
Oh wow, but you were a Christian?
Yes,
okay.
All my life I had always been a Christian, from Ikoyi Baptist Church, where I used to go with the Ajagbe's, my family friends, to Guidelines Assembly, and then, you know, I moved on to the Redeemed Christian Church of God. So I'd always been a Christian all my life. My parents never had a problem with me going to church, so I had done everything I thought was the solution. To the extent I had done stuff for me, like things that, trust me. But I knew that the only option available was an amputation. I wasn't bothered. I had not even thought. I had never seen an amputee in my life. How about that? Never seen a Nigerian amputee. Never understood what disability meant. Never understood what cancer was. So it's never, all of these things.
Would you say, though, that if you didn't hit your knee, you would not have discovered that cancer?
There's a
That
possibility.
and it's not that the cancer came because you hit your knee.
They say it was owing to the trauma, that it was hereditary. Well, going down history, then we had to do a little searching, and then we found out, well, indications show that what may have killed my maternal grandmother might have been cancer. So my uncles and the doctors are saying, oh yes, we
What kind
suspect.
of cancer?
No, it wasn't. My maternal grandmother had died from anal cancer late in the 70s. So nobody obviously knew what that was in Ondo. She died in Ondo, so it must have been, oh, somebody is doing her or something, all these mysterious things. But down, in hindsight, they then said it possibly was cancer and that was what happened. But the doctors claimed that the trauma, the fall, had triggered the cells to just grow and grow and grow and grow. So it was that. And for me, at that point in my life, honestly, I just wanted my life back.
So what about your faith? Did it affect your faith? Did you struggle with God?
It didn't. And I'll be very honest. It didn't, because I didn't see myself less of anybody or anything that I was going through. And I think that I was lucky enough to have people who were deeply rooted in kingdom around me. I had a very awesome neighbor, Mrs. Adekombi, and her family, and she always stood by us, even when she didn't, when it was not monetary, it was prayers, because we had spent everything. I remember once we had just 10,000, all of us as a family, everything we had home abroad, naira, dollar, everything, because we had spent everything. We literally, all that possibility was left was maybe to sell the house or maybe the cars, but we had sold everything. My mom had sold her jewelry, we had sold everything, but God somehow allowed people who were deeply rooted, not just Christians, but in the kingdom, and who understood, these things. And that, I think, helped shape my mindset that God wasn't upset at me, God wasn't dealing with me. I had not committed one sin, so it was payback time. So all of that, I never went through all of that. I just wanted my life, and I knew for a certainty that I'll be fine, but I couldn't place how. I didn't see 1 year after that. I didn't see 2 years after that. Neither did I see 3 years after.
So it was just a day-to-day
experience. It was a day-to-day experience. And for me, in the hospital ward in UCH, I've made awesome friends. Some of them I'm still in constant communication with. I remember very well that I used to be the one to lead the worship and the prayer. So everybody, it was an orthopedic ward, so everybody either had a leg hanging. But the moment the doctors told me that I could get on my feet, it was a different world, because I was going to fall. My balance had changed, many things, but it was exciting to me because people saw my face. Oh, you're the one who prays for us. You're the one who leads worship in the ward and all of that. So I got energy. I was excited. There was so much joy in me. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew that I'll be perfectly fine.
So I want to talk about the challenges with disability, but we need to take a quick break. So once we come back from the break, we'll continue. Thank you. Viewers, stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to the Heart of the Matter. We're still talking to Adenike Oyetunde. Adenike, okay, so now it's a new life.
Yes.
You have this disability. How was it difficult for you to adjust, especially with a country like Nigeria where it's not really, in favor of people with disabilities?
Okay, so just a few days ago on my Instagram handle, I went in on a bank, a supposed 21st century compliant bank that has so many stairs just to access the banking hall. And it's amazing that we don't still get these things right. I remember under the administration of the former governor of Lagos State, Babatunde Fashola, there was a law, the special persons, law and all of that. And one of the provisions was that by June 2016, that infrastructural differences will start taking, changes or effect in structural buildings. And nothing has happened. It's just amazing. It's bad enough that having to live with disabilities it's a day-to-day struggle, for lack of a better description. But the Nigerian factor just makes it a lot was I've been to African countries, and it's different, even from the airport. I always write wheelchair on my ticket because I'd rather somebody does all the carousel stress and all of that. And the moment you get there are like three people waiting with a wheelchair, and you have options to choose from. But once I land in Nigeria, I don't even wait for them because it takes like 1 hour. I kid you not. It takes like 1 hour for the NCAA people to get a wheelchair to work. Then you get a part, and then they're manually maneuvering, and you're wondering, in 2016, how does this work? So it's a lot, and I'm taking it upon myself in the new year to continue to talk about it. I'm going to start to name and shame, and a friend of mine was saying that until we start to do things like economic boycotts, where I will tell you categorically that I bank with you, I have 5,000 naira in my account, you are my banker, and I'm not going to do anything, and I'm going to continue to have people that I know that are influencers joining on the bandwagon. They actually replied one of my tweets saying that, oh, they're going to look into it, and I don't think that's good enough, because it's 6 months after the law came into effect, and nothing has been done. Absolutely nothing. Because I asked them in the bank on that day, what happens where someone on a wheelchair, I can actually, by the time I take my, gradually I'll get there. But people who are on wheelchairs, how do you carry them? It was like 50, about 2-3 banks, their headquarters in Lagos. And I'm wondering, it doesn't make any sense. And then we keep complaining that some of these people, all they do is beg for alms. They would, because we don't make these things.
There's no dignity.
There's none whatsoever. So I'm just wondering how many. And it's taking me a journey to get here mentally. I had my bouts with depression, and I had no idea I was dealing with depression. So it was a journey for me, and I had to get to the space where I knew that, without a doubt, the people who were looking to me, because I work with children at the Radio Foundation, and we provide them free prosthetic limbs. And I think that for the past 6-7 years that we have been around for, we have provided loads of limbs. In this year alone, we have provided almost 18. And with children, you have to change at least a minimum of twice in a year. And it costs
their limbs, obviously, because they're growing.
Yes. So they're growing, and that's a good year. You change twice for one child.
It's expensive.
Yes. And, with all the foreign exchange and all of that, it costs about 1.5 million naira per limb. So what you have to change like twice or 3 times. We've had kids that we have to change 3 times in a year. So I get my energy from them. I feel they have no heirs. They're not bothered about the things that we adults are thinking about. The limb no longer fits. They're not concerned. They know that whatever is going to happen, they will go to school. They know they would eat. They know they'll be fine. They'll wear their clothes. So there's absolutely no way I will be depressed when I see these kids around me. They give me so much joy.
So how did you go from obviously being depressed with this new situation to now being a voice for these children?
It's nothing beats purpose in life. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And the moment an individual starts to come to terms with what it is that God has asked them to do, their lives become way easier. I'm not totally started on the purpose journey, honestly, but I think it gets clearer per day. And one of the things that I know God has called me to do, especially because I'm in broadcasting as well, is to be a voice. I bet that it wouldn't have possibly been this way to someone who wasn't, I don't know, maybe as vocal as I am. I'm not as vocal as I would want to be, but I'm on a journey. I got to the point where I met the late Charles B, and I was on his show. I knew for a certainty that I wasn't called out to starting a foundation on my own. I still do not feel like God is calling me to do that. And if I did it, I know that I'm just going to be doing it out of my own volition. I don't know if it would succeed 6 months after, it comes on board. So I knew that there was a need for me to break even in that way and accept, because everybody around me was saying, you need to start a foundation. And I was telling them, I couldn't tell them, but I knew on the inside that it was far from that. So I was on Charles B's show, and then he calls me, I think a few days later, to say, this young lady calls me up and says she heard your story and she will want to work with you. I kid you not, the very first day I met Crystal Chibu, I knew without a doubt that, yes, I knew without a doubt that it was just a destiny connect, and the rest is history. So I would continue to work with the Radio Foundation until one day I'm very sure that God is saying, okay, your work is done here. Because I know that life is in phases, and even the foundation understands, because that's what we're trying to extend beyond just providing limbs for the children. We also care for their caregivers. People don't care about the mother who just lost a child, or whose child just lost a limb. Everybody's
Because
concerned about the child.
for them too as well.
Trust me, it takes a lot of adapting. It takes a lot of getting used to. It really literally does take a lot. And for me, I think that one of the things was my earlier years, I was so, I can do it, leave me alone, but I was taking on myself so much more than I had the capacity to. But right now, I've gotten to the point where if I cannot move, I just tell you, look, I can't move. It's either you come to pick me up or you send someone to...
So what kind of support do you provide for the caregivers?
For the caregivers, we do a lot of talking. Sometimes we help them financially, because for a lot of them, it's a different life. And like I've already stated, it costs a whole lot. But for the kids that we work with, we already know categorically that their family members will not be providing financially for their limbs. For as long as we can, we'll continue to help provide these limbs for the children. But we provide them financial support sometimes, but most importantly, it's a connect. It's an alliance of people who have a history together of some sort. And there's nothing in this world that beats where you're hearing from somebody who's been on the journey right before you, to not just tell you about their story, but to literally hold your hands and say, I will walk with you on this journey.
Can we talk about some of the stigma you must have faced from people? I know someone once asked you, would you be able to have sex?
Oh yeah,
because you
I get that all
don't
the
have
time.
a right leg, and what other myths are flying around?
Can you carry a child to term? Recently with my hair color, would you get a man to marry you?
Because of your hair color?
Yeah, that was just a few days ago, by the way.
Okay.
Yes.
So.
And I don't care, honestly. What else? I think those are the ones that, people are just, I know people are concerned, but I think we have become so insensitive, because you can only imagine my journey. You cannot.
No, you can never know exactly what it is.
So sometimes you see me all defensive, and in those moments I know that I literally need an infilling of the Holy Spirit, without a doubt. I know that I'm running low on the Holy Spirit fire, so to speak. But it's the response always differs. You tell me, first time I went to work without my prosthetic limb, someone goes, oh my God, I prefer you without your limb. I say this all the time, not because I'm trying to shame her, but because it's something changed in my head, and I bet something changed in her head as well. And I looked her in the eyes and I said, it's not for you to like, it's for me, it's my comfort. This is who I am. So if you cannot accept me for who it is that I am, then I cannot help you.
She may have actually thought she was passing a compliment.
She felt very stupid. I was excited she felt stupid, honestly. But yes, I then went to meet her and say, it's fine, I understand what you were saying, but I think sometimes we need to be sensitive enough, and we were not so close for you to have passed such a comment. We were more colleagues than friends.
So can I ask, did it affect your self-esteem?
Oh yes,
Did you become insecure?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
It affected my self-esteem, but not in the early years.
Okay.
My journey is very interesting, because it didn't start in the first 5 years, maybe in the 7th, 6th, 8th, 9th year. The 9th year was the hardest, has been the hardest. And one of the history why I have the hair color, because I was going through a phase and I just needed something different. I just wanted to do something exciting. I tried the hair color and I loved it, and it stuck.
I think it's really nice.
I love my hair color. You have no idea.
I just highlighted my hair underneath my wig a few days ago.
How does it feel?
Amazing. I need to start carrying my hair, so I'm going to try. Very soon,
I owe you
my
your
natural
next
hair. Next year, 2017 goals for Heart of the Matter.
I know, right? So I went through that phase where I needed to know whose I am and who I am. And the moment I knew that who I am is complete in heaven, and that's what matters most. On the outside...
This is temporary.
Yeah, on the outside, this is what it is. But it took me so much to understand that he made me so delicately in his image and after his likeness. Nothing in the world beats that. So wherever it is that you are, whatever it is that you have, maybe wealth is your foundation or your bedrock. I can look you in the eyes and say, I am who I am only by God. So I know who it is that I am, I know whose I am, and that's what seals it for me. So until I got to that spot, I had been dealing with bouts of low self-esteem, and I had no idea. Imagine that I always used to wear long outfits. You're getting married and you say you're doing 2.5 ashwebi, 2.5 yards, and I'll say, please, can I order 5 yards?
Wow.
Because I would always want to make
long.
And the first day ever, I broke free. I wore shorts to work. And I remember so well, Alera walked up to me and just gave me a hug. She said, nobody understand, but I know you're breaking free from something mental. I broke and I just started crying.
Wow.
I literally just started crying because she understood, and I know without a doubt that it was Spirit of God who told her. So from that moment on, there's absolutely nothing I can do.
So you're also an on-air personality. What's next for you in 2017? We're rounding up.
Wow. In 2017, like I said, I'm going to strategically look into how I'm going to start shaming and blaming, naming and shaming a lot of things that come on disability, and I think that's the only thing on my card right now. I'll be lying to you if I say, oh yes, I want to travel the world, yeah. And I'll be lying to you if I said, oh, I have some. That's the only thing I feel so strongly that God has put in my heart. And after I attended Do It Afraid, yay. And my friend spoke to me just yesterday. My very good friend Yudi, I call your name all the time. I'm sorry, but I can't help it. Yudi, I had never spoken to him about the things, and he was just going right at it. And I said, oh Lord, this is you. So that is the major thing I'm going to be facing in 2017. God help me.
Amen. Amen. And it is done. Yay. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
It's been such an amazing time. I wish we had more time.
I know, right?
We'll interview you again soon. But if people want to reach out to you, if they want to support you, the foundation, how can they? Okay,
for the foundation, it is theiradefoundation.org. That is IREDE. That's a website. On Instagram, we are at Irede Foundation. On Twitter, at the Irede. For myself, my Twitter handle is at Adenike Oyetunde. On Instagram, it is at Adenike Oyetunde.
And then you're on radio Sunday at 7:30.
I'm actually on radio every day of the week. Okay. And then Sunday morning, 99.3 Nigeria Info FM. Mondays through to Fridays, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And on Sunday morning, where I'm alive on Sunday.
I think that's the first time I've actually cried on air.
I made Omi cry.
In fact, I cried, but not in public.
She cried.
Yeah, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
And for being a light.
Thank you.
Thank you. Viewers, I hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as I have. If you'd like to reach out to Adenike, her details are on the screen. Until next week, stay blessed.